We're going to talk about verbs. Verbs are the crux of your sentence. They're the most important part of your sentence because without verbs, your sentence wouldn't express an action or a state of being like a thought or who you are. Knowing your verbs, as well as your other parts of speech, are going to help you to become a better reader, better writer, a better speaker, and most importantly, it's going to help you express your feelings and your ideas more clearly. So, in studying verbs, we want you to be able to use your knowledge of the language to be able to express yourself clearly. What is a verb? The verb is the main action in the sentence. It could also be known as the predicate. There are many different types of verbs. The verbs we're going to be focusing on are the main verbs, action verbs, helping verbs, linking verbs. Like I said, there are more. These are just the ones that we're going to be covering in class. So let's start out with action verbs. Action verbs tell what the subject does or did. So it is important here that you remember what the subject of the sentence is. The subject of the sentence is the doer, the person that is doing the action. It usually comes at the beginning because in English, our basic sentences follow a subject, verb, object order. So usually you will find the subject towards the beginning of the sentence. Let's take a look at an example. He was running to the beach to see the show. We have he, which is our subject because that's the doer. He is the person who is running. He's doing the action of running. Running is the subject or is the verb of the sentence. It's an action, it's something that you do. Was is a helping verb that tells us when the running took place. It had already happened. But the important part for you to know now is that the action is what you do, what the subject is doing. Just like our guy from Sparta here tells us, verbs are all about action. So let's see how well you can do with finding the action verb in each of the following sentences. I've done the first one for you as an example. Beth knows many facts about horses. It might be helpful for you to try and identify the subject of the sentence first, the doer, and then ask yourself, what are they doing? So my subject is Beth. Well, what is Beth doing? Beth is knowing. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight my action verb, knows. Go ahead and do this now on your own guided notes. Great, let's see how you did now. Number 2, she always loved horses. Loved is the verb that she is doing. She rides horses every day. Rides is the verb that she is doing. She will ride a horse tomorrow. Will ride is the verb phrase that she is doing. If you didn't include will, I understand. We haven't really talked about helping verbs yet. But will is part of the verb because it tells us the time that this will take place. It's in the future. Beth visited the Davis stables on Thursday. Visited is the action that Beth did. A few horses stood in the stalls. Stood is the action that a few horses did. Beth enjoyed her writing lesson. Enjoyed is the action that Beth did. Mrs. Davis saddles Ranger for a ride. Saddles is the action that Mrs. Davis did. The white mare whinnies at Beth. Whinnies is the action that the white mare did. Beth remembers last week's lesson. Remembers is the action that Beth did. She balances herself in the saddle. Balances is the action that she did. Her hands hold the reins loosely. Should say holds. Hold is the action that her hands did. Beth walks her horse at first. Walks is the action that Beth did. Then the horse gallops down the trail. Gallops is the action that the horse did. I've gone ahead and fixed this one for you. Her hands hold the reins loosely. Hold is the verb that her hands did. All right. We kind of touched on this a little bit, and we really are just reviewing this, but let's talk about what a subject is. Because in order for you to truly identify a verb and to make sure that your subject and your verb go together, well, you really need to know what a subject is. A subject tells who or what is doing an action. A compound subject is more than one subject doing the same action. These subjects are joined by one of our fanboy conjunctions. And if you remember, those conjunctions are F for for, A for and, N for nor, B for but, O for or, Y for yet, and S for so. So let's take a look over here at our examples. Beth knows many facts about horses. Our subject is Beth. It's just a simple subject, one person or one thing. She always loved horses. She is the subject. Again, very simple. It happens to be a pronoun, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be the whole noun written out. It could also be a pronoun. Because remember, subjects can be people, places, or things. My mom and I went to the store. Now we have a compound subject. Both mom and I are both doing the same action of going to the store. So I highlight this whole thing, my mom and I call that a compound subject because it has one of my fanboy conjunctions connecting or joining my two subjects. We will buy things to make spaghetti. We is our simple subject. Now I want you to practice on your own. Highlight the subjects in the following sentences and be careful because the subject may be compound. Let's see how you did. The subject in our first sentence is many people. Many people is the complete subject, and they are the ones that are doing the action of showing their horses. Many people. The second one, the subject is the show. The show is the thing that is doing the lasting. It's the thing that is lasting all weekend. So the show is our subject. Large horse trailers fill the parking lot. The thing that is doing the action of filling are the large horse trailers. So that is our complete subject. Cowboys and cowgirls fill the stadium. We have a compound subject here. Both cowboys and cowgirls are both doing the action of filling the stadium. A large crowd gathers every morning. Who's doing the action of gathering? A large crowd. So that's our subject. The riders wave to the crowd. Who's doing the action of waving? The riders. So that's our subject. Sheila and I ride horses at the show each year. Who's doing the action of riding the horses? Sheila and I. Both of us are doing the same action. In one event, horses move through an obstacle course. This one might be a little tricky because our subject's not the first word or words in the sentence. We have to ask ourselves, what is doing the action of moving? Is it the event? No, it's the horses. So horses is the subject of our sentence. The judges and the MC work together to announce the best in show. Who's working together to announce the best in show? The judges and the MC. So our subject is the judges and the MC. How did you do? Go back and check your answers now and fill in and correct any mistakes. To finish off this lesson, you're going to continue practicing on your own guided notes. You'll see a practice box that says choose an action verb from the box above to fill into each of the sentences below. You can only use a verb once. So you'll choose a verb from this box here to fill in to the 10 sentences that you have here. Please do this now.